Hi, I'm Rommel Anakin, and welcome to the Rommel Anakin Show. This show is all about helping you have the kind of relationships that make your home life more joyful, your work life more meaningful, and your life simply better. So I've intensely studied relationships and communication for almost 20 years now. And for over the past decade as a speaker, coach, and pastor, I've helped thousands of clients create relationships and connection in a way they've always wanted. Honestly, it's the reason thousands of people look to me for easy to use relationship strategies that instantly create connection, understanding, and love. So, my friend, I hope you'll join me on this journey to revolutionize your relationships. Welcome to the Rommel Anakin Show. Maestro, fired up. My friends, welcome to the program. Now, before I begin, I almost want to say, I know, I know, right? Do we really need one more podcast in the world today? I've been wanting to do a podcast for some time, but I kept resisting the idea because a part of me really was going, my gosh, do we really need one more freaking podcast? You know what I'm talking about? And the truth is, if it's just about content, no, we probably don't need another podcast, right? If this is just all about trying to get you to buy a $90 cup or tumbler or whatever at the store, or whatever trend is on right now, no, we probably don't need another podcast. But here's what I do know. In working with thousands of people each and every year, what we do need is an honest, open, ongoing conversation about relationships. Now, why? Because everything in our life revolves around relationships. Right? I mean, think about this. When you think of the really great memories in your life, they probably involve people. Right? As I record this, we just came through the holiday season. I want you to think of, what did you do for Christmas? What did you do for New Year's? What did you do in the lead up to that? It probably involved people, right? The pleasant memories, the good memories involve people. Now, right, if you even start to think of some of the painful moments in your life, the disappointments, the discouragements, is the flat out crap. Yeah, I said it. That probably involves people too, right? It involves people too, because the fact of the matter is we are wired for connection. We are wired to have relationship with one another. We are wired for that. And yet, having the kind of relationships that make our life better is extremely hard. It's extremely hard. And even though we are made for relationships, we often do not think about relationships. We don't often think about our communication or our connection until something goes wrong, right? And that's how it was for me. My journey in studying relationships and studying communication and being a communication speaker, a people skills speaker, and being a marriage coach and creating a marriage program with my wife began with a divorce almost 20 years ago. And I can still remember the day when I discovered that my now ex-wife, right, ex-wife for 20 years, let me know that she was done, that she wanted out of our relationship, that she actually had met someone else and wanted out of our marriage. And that whole experience floored me. If you've ever been through any kind of breakup, but certainly a divorce, you know how extremely painful and challenging that is. And when it comes kind of out of left field and you're really not prepared for it, there's even more of a shock. I remember going to work that day thinking that life was normal, right? Life was okay. And going to bed that night with no idea what the future had in store for me. And so, in the aftermath of that very unexpected divorce, I did everything I could to learn about relationships, to learn about communication, to learn about connection. And that process was brutally eye-opening for me, friends. Let me just tell you, like, I remember reading books and both laughing because I could, and communication books, marriage books, like literally, guys, name a marriage book, it's probably on the shelf, right? Name a communication book, probably on the shelf. And I remember just devouring these books, sitting in my bedroom and reading them and laughing and crying, right? Laughing because I could relate to the stories. I mean, I'd read that and go, oh my gosh, I'm not the only guy that does that dumb thing. Are you kidding me? Or I'm not the only person that found that irritating when she would do that. Or, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in this, right? Like I could relate to the stories. And then I remember even finding myself crying because as I read the stories, I realized that I made so many mistakes. There were so many times I would read something and I would think to myself, "Oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Oh, apparently that makes women really unhappy, right?" Like there were so many moments like this. And it was hard, right? It was hard, but here's the thing. Here's what was so good is the more that I read, the more that I studied, the more that I looked inward, the more that I prayed, the more that I grew, the more that I healed, the more that I learned that the mistakes that I made in my marriage and also in other relationships were changeable, they were fixable. And had we addressed those in time, I really do believe that we could have found our way back together. Now, I'm glad that life turned out the way that it did. You'll hear more about my story as we go forward. But it was important for me to learn that there was, that it wasn't unfixable, it wasn't unchangeable, right? And that was the paradox for me. It was it was infuriating learning about relationships and communication and connection because I realized I could have done something about it. And so there's a part of me that was beating myself up and going, I can't believe that I didn't learn this early. I can't believe that I didn't figure this out early. I can't believe that we didn't get a shot to figure this out. But it was empowering because I knew moving forward, I could do something about it. Right. So that's what I try to do. And then over time, what I learned about relationships, about communication, about connection made me want to share it with others. And so as I was moving on in my corporate career and as I started to do some more management roles and training roles and things like that, the underpinning of everything that I did was always about relationship. It was always about communication. It was always about connection. Right. So when I started my speaking business in 2011, I made helping people have better relationships my focus. Right? That was my piece of the expert industry kingdom because I'd seen firsthand the incredibly powerful and positive difference focusing on winning with people made in my life and made in my career. Now, here's what I got to be honest with you. It's not something you learn once and then you move on with your life and you do it, you learn it, and then you're like, I'm good, right? It's something that you keep learning, right? Building the kind of relationships that make your life worthwhile is a day-to-day thing. Whether your goal is to be the best husband or the best wife, the best parent, the best boss, the best employee, the best grandparent, right? The favorite uncle, the best friend you can be, the best sibling you can be, just the best person you can be, building those kinds of relationships that make your life worthwhile and make your life better is something you must do day in and day out every day. And here's what I know having amazing relationships in your life will ask everything of you. Will ask everything of you. I'm going to let you in on another secret that I've discovered. What you will have will not be enough, right? Every relationship, right? Having great relationship will ask everything of you. And there are some key relationships, being a spouse will ask everything of you. It will demand everything of you. Being a great parent will demand everything of you. And what you will have naturally will not be enough. It's not going to be enough, which is why you need help, which is why you need support, which is why you need people championing you. And you will need maybe a little, or if you're like me, you're also going to need a whole lot of help from God as well. Revolutionizing the relationships in your life will not be easy, but it will be worth it. Now, before we move on to some practical strategies and practical ideas that I want to share with you that you can immediately use to spark a relationship revolution in your life, I think it is time for what I like to call my very own coffee break. It is coffee break time. And so I love coffee. As you get to know me, you will get to know that I really do. I enjoy coffee. I enjoy coffee mugs. In our family, we actually have a ton of coffee mugs. We have seasonal mugs. We have mugs from all the places that we visited or been to, or just special memories and things. And so it's kind of our thing. I love coffee. I love coffee mugs. And so as we grow on this journey together, my friend, can't wait to share some things with you. And by the way, if you're listening to this, I would love to know what's your favorite coffee? What do you like? Are you a mug person too? Let me know. Right. So, because I love coffee, as a part of almost every episode of the Rommel Show, we're going to take a coffee break together. So, as we do the coffee break, I might try a coffee that I've never tried before and actually share with you what I think of the coffee, or I might just share an old favorite that I'm just enjoying right now with you. So, here is my coffee mug in my Carpenter's coffee mug, and my daughter got this mug for me, and if you're watching this on the video, for me for my birthday. And if you don't know me, the Carpenters are my favorite music group. Some of you watching or listening to this, you know the Carpenters very well. For some of you, you have no idea who the Carpenters are. I would suggest you look at, if you want to hear incredible music, Karen Carpenter had, I believe, one of the best singing voices in pop music history. And her brother Richard, who wrote a lot of the songs, did the arranging and the producing, um, and a lot of the background vocals. They just created this really lush, rich, incredible sound. Great, great, great music. You've probably heard it, even if you don't know them. Anyway, so for my birthday, my daughter got this Carpenter's mug for me. So that is what we're doing today. And today's coffee, and by the way, it's not sponsored by anybody, but it is the Trader Joe's medium roast whole bean coffee. And I actually prepared it in a French press. And I've got some heavy cream and stevia in it, and I love it. It's actually really, really, really good. But here's my coffee. Yeah, that is really good. Really, really enjoy that. So I love coffee. So, so good. If you don't drink coffee, don't sweat it. But I would love to know, what's your favorite beverage? Are you a tea person? Are you a soda person, or pop, depending on what part of the country you're in? All that good stuff. But I'm enjoying my coffee break. Hope you did too. Okay, so now that I've had my coffee, I'm ready to share with you three big ideas that will help you revolutionize your relationships in 2024. The first big idea is this, is I want you to think of things in terms of connection. Okay, so you're either creating connection or you're breaking connection with people. Okay, so every interaction you have with your spouse, you're either creating connection or you're breaking connection. Every interaction you have with your boss, creating connection, breaking connection. Maybe you're in sales. Every interaction you have with that customer, you're either creating connection or you're breaking connection. Spending time with your parents or spending time with your kids, you got it, right? You're creating connection or you are breaking connection. And so, if you want a better life in 2024, you must create connection wherever you go. You must create connection wherever you go, right? Because we were wired to desire connection. Every single person you interact with is looking for connection, is looking to feel connected, is looking to feel important, is looking to feel like they are a big deal. And so, if you can create that connection with people, that is going to help you tremendously revolutionize your relationships this year. Now, how do you create that connection? Key number two is this: communication is the transportation to connection. Communication is the transportation to amazing connection. And the key here is communicating in a way that helps to create the connection between you and the people in your life. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The key is communicating with the people in your life in a way that creates the connection that you desire and the connection that they desire. Right? Because, see, friend, you have a way that you communicate. And that way that you communicate has both a positive impact, and I'm sorry to tell you, it's also got a negative impact on that, right? There's things that people love about how you communicate. Maybe you're the life of the party, or you're always so receptive to what other people think, or if someone needs to be a take charge person, you're that person. Well, guess what? Sometimes people don't want you to be the life of the party, or sometimes people would love to be the ones to take charge instead of you always taking charge. Or maybe some of the people in your life would love to be able to make some of the decisions that you tend to make all the time, right? So sometimes they love it when you take charge, and sometimes it really rubs them the wrong way, right? Does that make sense? You've probably noticed that, right? And so the key here, if you want to have incredible relationships, is you must be aware of how you communicate. You must be aware of the impact of your communication style on the people around you, and then you must make a decision to communicate in a way that creates connection, not disconnection, between you and the people in your life. And then the third point is this: is you must do this consistently. You must do this consistently. And so as we start the year, my guess is you've probably got some New Year's resolutions. You probably have some things. I know a ton of people whose resolution was to lose some weight, get healthier, exercise. Well, if any of those are your resolution, you know that just making a resolution to get healthier doesn't do you any good, right? Just making the resolution to go to the gym and going to the gym once on January 2nd and never going to the gym again isn't going to help you get healthier. It's not going to help you lose weight. It's not going to help you get to the level of fitness that you desire. You got to consistently do it, right? You got to consistently wake up when you don't want to wake up. Get on that, get yourself to the gym, hop on the elliptical or hop on the treadmill, or pick up the free weights, or go for a walk, or do any of those things, right? You've got to do it consistently. You must do it consistently. The same thing is true in your relationships, right? You must consistently create connection with the people around you, and you must consistently communicate in a way that creates the connection with the people around you. So here is my question. Let me ask you this. Okay, let me ask you this. I want you to think of the most important people in your life. I want you to think of the most important people in your life. And I want you to ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would each of them rate you on on all of these categories? So on level of connection, when people are around you in general, how would they rate the level of connection they feel with you? How would they rate the level of connection that they feel with you? Okay, on communication, scale of 1 to 10, how would they rate your ability to communicate with them in a way that helps them feel connected, in a way that helps them feel important, in a way that helps them feel seen, heard, and valued? And how would they rate you on your consistency in both your connection and in your communication? Now, by the way, my friend, I'm not asking you if you agree with what they would rate you, just what you think they would rate you. So take the significant relationships. What would your spouse rate you on these categories? What would your kids rate you in these categories? What would your boss? What would your coworkers? What would the people you interact with on a consistent basis rate you in these areas? Even if you don't agree with the rating they would give you, you just want to think of what that would be. And then the question is this: if those scores are not where you want them to be, what would you need to do to raise those scores? Do you know? And if you're unsure of what you need to do, you are in the right place listening to this podcast because that's what this show is all about, helping you have the kind of relationships that help you live the kind of life you've always wanted. So if you're not sure of what to do, or even if you've got an idea of what to do, here's my final question to you. Can you commit to yourself? Can you say to yourself, I'm so freaking committed to having awesome relationships, to have an awesome marriage, to be an amazing parent, to be a rock star boss, to be an invaluable employee. I'm so freaking committed to all of those things that I'm willing to do the work that is necessary to revolutionize my relationships in 2024. Now, can you make that commitment to yourself, to your spouse, to your kids, to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers, to your customers, to your partners, right? To your clients, all of those things. Can you make that commitment today? Because let me tell you what's going to happen, friends. When you make that kind of commitment to revolutionizing your relationships this year, and then when you take the right kind of action, man, that is when things start to move. That is when things start to shimmy. I can't really move that well, but trust me, things move, right? That is when things start to change. And that is when the magic happens. That is when the magic happens in your relationships. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the very first episode of the Rommel Anakin Show. I hope you found our time together really, really valuable. As a recap, we've talked about that if you want to have a great life, you must have great relationships. And then we ask you to think about three big things. Think about creating connection, right? Remembering that communication is the transportation to great connection, and making sure that you do these things consistently. And then committing to doing the things you need to do every day to have the kind of relationships you want to achieve the success that you desire in your life. So glad you joined me today. And before we go, and until we meet again, I would love to say a blessing over you if you share my faith. Amen. I'd ask you to join with me. And if you don't share my faith, I just ask you to receive this as a blessing today. My friends, may the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. This is the Rommel Anakin Show, and we'll see you next time.